Oh,
Oh, so
adorable. How cute. Your little lifestyle business. Okay, well, get back to me if you ever want to build something real.
you obviously built a big company with Moz and saw quite a bit of success that included raising a bunch of money
Yeah.
and building a big team. Tell me a little bit about what you experienced as a benefit, but also the downside of taking on venture capital with Moz.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that the biggest benefit, Matt, for me, to be totally honest, it's kind of embarrassing. I think the biggest benefit is pride. The biggest benefit to raising money at Moz is that I get invited to speak on stages and participate in conversations and be covered by press and be interviewed and be viewed as somehow someone who's important and authoritative because I raised a lot of money.
Mm.
And I think very frankly, oh, sorry.
Do you think that's right?
No, I mean, I think it's a terrible incentive, but I also know myself, right? I know that if I hadn't, for example, raised venture capital, I would always feel like that outsider who wasn't good enough, who wasn't worthy. And I think that's how the venture ecosystem works, right? Venture money funds almost all of the press and media directly or indirectly, right? And events and whatchamacallit, accelerators and all these sorts of things. And as a result, they get to control the narrative that is, Matt, I'm sure you've heard this. In fact, I'm sure a ton of people on this have heard this before. They use the word lifestyle business as a deep insult, right? They point to you and go, "Oh, are you making millions of dollars a year, but only working 30 or 40 hours a week and you're happy? Fuck you. You're a lifestyle business." I'm sorry. I don't mean to swear, but it just,
the FU is implied, probably.
Yeah, and they say it really sweetly. Oh, adorable. How cute. Your little lifestyle business. Okay, well, get back to me if you ever want to build something real.
Yeah.
That is highly, highly disturbing. And then you think about that in the context of sort of the broader macroeconomic picture of the United States and sort of the Western world in general, which is we're in an era of unprecedented income inequality that's been, growing at a rapid pace for the last 50 years and deeply exacerbated by venture capital, right? Venture capital is an asset class whose entire model is around creating a few billionaires and a ton of unemployed people. That is the whole model. And don't let them try and convince you otherwise. Don't let them try and change the narrative and be like, nope, you are not who you say you are. You are not trying to create jobs. You are not trying to encourage entrepreneurship. You're trying to encourage a small number of winners and a huge number of losers. And that is not an economic model that I think is helpful or productive for our society. I don't think it's good for the world. I don't think it's good for our politics or our economy's ability to survive upheaval, right? If you look at what economists think is healthy, it's a lot of small and medium businesses with a ton of competition. That creates healthy capitalist markets. What creates very unhealthy capitalist markets is what we have now, which is essentially largely unregulated capitalism, a few monopoly players. And venture capitalists are, their goal, and look, this is not, I think they are also in the ecosystem. Many of them feel trapped in the ecosystem, even if their politics or their thinking is broader than this, that they need to fund monopoly builders, right? And potential monopoly builders. That's how you get, your billion-dollar outcomes, your unicorns.
Right. The unicorn chase.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It's funny that they managed to make them unicorns. They really should have been Cthulhu chasers, because that's what we're really dealing with.
Tell me how you really feel, Rand.
Yeah.
What happened to the culture at Moz when you brought on venture capital? Because you were a profitable business with SEO Moz and ran it as a services agency ahead of time, which service versus product, I'd love to circle back to that. But what happened at the culture at Moz? Since we are doing the culture awards here at Unvalley and Powderkeg, culture is the number one reason that we've found that people join a tech company. It's also the number one reason they quit at a tech company. How did you see venture capital change the culture at Moz?
Yeah, I think I do not know. I think Moz is an outlier in that I'm not sure our first round of venture capital did much of a big change at all. And I think that's because, the founders still maintain the overwhelming majority. I think what did Ignition own? Maybe 17% of the company when they first invested. So it was a $1.1 million round. It was pretty small. It was a board of directors, so we got a little more formalized, but I don't think it had a huge impact on us culturally. The biggest impact was probably on our mindset around what we wanted to and needed to build, which was essentially we consistently invested all of the profits and earnings from the company into trying to find faster and faster growth. And I think that eventually biased us into a place where we felt like we had to raise more money so that we could do more of those potential investments. And it made us, I would say, uncareful, made us very high risk taking activity in terms of the business. We threw a lot of dollars at foolish channels, and in particular, I think the dumbest move we ever made was after our 2012 fundraise from Foundry. We raised $18 million then and attempted to go much broader than SEO. Right. So you mentioned the old name of the company was SEO Moz. When we first raised venture, we dropped the services business, became exclusively software, and then in 2012 tried to go bigger than SEO because we worried as a board of directors that SEO wasn't a big enough market. Right. And that was incredibly foolish. I think if you look back over the last 8 years in particular, what you can see is SEO grew bigger than ever. And when Moz took its eye off that ball for those 4 or 5 years that it tried to go broader, other competitors stepped in to take its place. Very, very frustrating. So, and our experience is not particularly unique. I talk to a lot of venture-backed entrepreneurs of all kinds in all sorts of markets who basically, they look at their businesses, and when they're venture-backed, growth rate is the dominant metric. And so they optimize for that over everything else. And as a result, in many, many cases, don't focus and don't build what I would call high discipline businesses that have, long-term survivability and great profit margins and competitive advantages in their specific fields, right? They're just focused on, okay, how do we become Airbnb or Uber or WeWork, or two of those three I'd probably argue are not very healthy businesses.